So guys, this is the new iPad, and when you arrive in the booth, you should find it plugged in and charging, or totally charged. There's a USB-C connection on this end and on this end. So this charger came with the device, so just make sure that this charger is left here and available for the next person for charging purposes. When you get here, you're going to basically unplug the iPad. When you want to go to fire up the computer, you basically, I think you can just touch the screen. Yeah, something like that. I haven't really got the hang of it, but I'm learning this too. I think it's a matter of just touch the screen, wipe up from the bottom right-hand corner, and the passcode is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you do that, you'll see the home screen. And on the home screen, you're going to touch Spotify. Okay, this will bring up Spotify. Now, you're going to want to look at the one that says Your Library. Under Library, Your Library, you'll have playlists. There's one for post-service, one for pre-service. There's one called Piano. So it really doesn't matter which one you choose, but choose the one that's appropriate. I think the pre-service is a little more subtle. Post-service is a little bit more high energy. Piano is strictly instrumental. I also want you to remember that this device does not need to be on the internet. These playlists that we have been downloaded to the device. And it's important that you turn off the internet. So you're going to come up here and you're going to swipe down from the top right and you're going to turn on the airplane mode. Okay? Make sure that's in airplane mode. That little airplane indication turns orange. Why? Because you don't want noises and interruptions coming from the internet while you're trying to play music on this device. So let's just go to pre-service. When you touch on that, it'll bring you to the playlist. Now, you can just simply hit the play button and it will start playing, okay? But you're going to want to make sure that you have the iPad plugged into the cable that goes to the board. And on the board, this cable is connected to the input labeled iPad, okay? So it's on the top layer that you use every week. So you're going to want to plug this in. You have two connections on this here. One of them is for the old iPad, and then you have one for the new iPad. The proper one that you want is the one that has the USB-C. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, the USB-C connection. The USB-C connection is here. You'll notice that I have this thing attached to it. Do not remove from the booth. If you don't have this connector, you're out of luck, because that's the only way to get the iPad connected to the board. So this is the way it's connected, through this cable that runs up into the back, and it's patched into iPad, all right? Now, once you have music on here and you've selected your playlist, just hit play, okay? When you hit play and the cable's plugged in, you're gonna see this light up under iPad, okay? That's all there is to it. Now, all you need to do is so this can be set up ahead of time and just left running. You don't need to turn it on and off. You've got it available when you need it, pre-service, post-service. If you happen to need to play pads, you can play pads through this device as well, but that's not going to be called upon very often because Leo plays pads through his keyboard. But pre and post-service, you will be called upon to use this, and it's as simple as getting it and, use your judgment on the volume level. And just like everything else on the board, this goes through to our webcast through the board. Anything that's happening in the board is sent to the webcast. So this is basically what you'd have ahead at the beginning of the service. While this is playing and prior to the countdown happening, you should have mute vocals and mute instruments muted. And you should see these lights flashing to keep everything else off. The only thing you want going through the sound at this point in time, prior to the service starting, is your music. Now, when you get to the point where you're 10 or 15 seconds left on the countdown, Leo's probably going to start music. So I usually suggest 30 seconds. So on the countdown, when it gets to 30 seconds prior, unmute the vocals and unmute the instruments. Leave the iPad going, leave the iPad going, and as soon as the band starts playing, usually about 10 seconds prior to 0 on the countdown, you're going to fade this off. You should have everything else set for the band for that first song, but you're going to fade that off. Now, that's it. You can leave it running. So you can just leave it playing, and you'll see this green light throughout the whole service, but it allows you to have that available at the beginning and at the end of the service.